What's up, guys? This is Wences. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development and creating a life on your terms. And today I want to talk to you about how to stay focused on the goals in your life. So we're talking about 3 overlooked hacks that will actually make a big difference in your life. Those 3 hacks have actually made a huge difference in my life. They have helped me to create a life more and more on my terms, to be really precise. And the most important thing is to move forward. You know, we have all those things that we do constantly. We think we're being productive because we're busy, but we're not moving forward. We're not moving the needle. And that is what makes us feel alive. That is what makes us feel like we're really happy in our life and we're not wasting time. We have to move that needle. And mentally, you will not feel like it's moving just because you say, well, I stay at this job. After 3 years, I'm gonna get a promotion. And then, that's like how the needle moves forward. It is something that has nothing to do with you. It's just like you stay in one spot and then you're being pushed a little bit forward. We always have to have things that make us feel we're growing. And it doesn't have to be something that is like a business thing altogether. So I'm not saying you have to quit your job. You can actually move that needle forward by making your life more exciting, by having better friends, by experiencing things in a new way. So all those 3 things I'm going to talk about, they just make sense when we realize that real fulfillment comes when we move that needle, when we have a life that's more and more attuned to who we really are. So the first hack is to actually set goals that are not that big. I mean, this is counterintuitive, of course, because everybody knows you should set really, really high goals, because if you're not able to reach them, then at least you're moving towards that, and then you create more than you ever thought possible. This is just true in theory. Because the thing is this, it's not a problem of having small goals and meeting them and then setting small goals and then meeting them again. Most people say if you don't really put out big goals, you're not moving forward because you're not setting any goals at all. The problem is not that your goals are too small. Your problem is that you don't have goals at all that you are able to accomplish. See, self-confidence is built when we keep the promises we make to ourselves. When we say, I'm going to do this, and we actually do it. Those are the things that will help us move forward, because we all know it's not just about theory. Of course, looking at it from the theory point of view, you could work 10 hours a day and then get the thing you want. You could actually be working 5 hours a week and get the thing you want. The problem is that we're not that person yet for whom it's normal to get all of those things done. So if you look at a person who's successful in a way that you find successful, where you feel like this is how I want to be, they're able to do things in a flow state. This is not difficult. And then you look at yourself and you say, well, just getting out of bed is difficult for me. How am I supposed to actually now sit down and work out a business plan or create something where I can meet more friends? Like, this is just exhausting to me. We have to become that person for whom this is normal. And in order to become that person, we have to set small goals which we can keep. See, it has to be something that doesn't overwhelm us so we can still grasp it, but at the same time, it has to be something that challenges us. And once we understand that, then we really make progress. So you really have to accept where you're at. So if you say, well, I want to work out and I want to lose weight and I'm going to start working out 5 times a week. Well, you're going to do that. You're going to try it for 2 days. Maybe you're even able to keep it up for 2 weeks because you have such strong willpower. But at some point, your natural flow will win and you'll go back to doing nothing, because that's what you've been doing all the time before you started those 2 weeks. But if you tell yourself, well, I'm not a person for whom this is normal to work 5 times a week and not feel like I'm doing this under pressure. We want you to become somebody for whom this is not difficult. Only when you get to that state, you can move forward. So you have to accept, I'm a person who cannot work out at all because this is what you've been doing the last months or years. You haven't been working out. So the first thing you have to actually tell yourself, well, let's try with 30 minutes a week. But no matter what, I'm going to keep up with those 30 minutes a week. And once you do that for a couple of weeks, you will see, of course, I'm going to stick to this. Like, that's just who I am. I mean, you don't even ask yourself if you brush your teeth. Of course you brush your teeth. And that's the same thing with working out once a week. And that's the same thing when you say, well, I want to build a friendship circle, when you say, I want to start a business, when you say, I want to have more impact in the world. You have to accept where you are, and you have to realize that you're probably not as strong in this aspect as you think, because all the time said, well, I just have to do it. I just have to do it. Well, you can't. You haven't done it. If you were somebody who could do it, you would have been doing it, because it always feels better once you're in that state. Realize that. Don't be too strict with yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Accept that and then say, I'm gonna set small goals and I'm gonna make them. Build self-confidence by proving to yourself that every goal you set for yourself, you're gonna meet. The second hack and the myth I want you to kind of like bust is to realize that you need willpower. Willpower is a myth. We are all limited when it comes to willpower. And you can't just tell yourself, well, I need to discipline myself. It will just has to work. And I'm actually mad at myself for not having the willpower. What you have to do is remove temptation. It doesn't have to be an ego thing where you have to prove to yourself that you're not gonna go for those chips, although they are here at the left. You don't have to prove to yourself that you have the willpower to work through if you're right next to a TV, if you see the YouTube feed on your computer that is open all the time. Everybody would get distracted. Like, that's just human nature. And for us to actually go out and to pretend to ourselves that I'm not a good person or I'm not successful because I don't have the willpower to sustain that is just ludicrous. What we have to understand is you will give in to those temptations always. There's no way out. The only thing you can do is remove yourself from temptation. So when I studied at university, I made sure that I go study in the library because there's nothing else to do. If I don't want to eat junk, I don't have junk at my house. And if I want to write on my book, I make sure that I put on some widgets or some extensions on Chrome so I do not see those suggestions on YouTube, so I do not see my Facebook feed. These things will actually help you. And a lot of companies like Apple are, for example, really building in things that will help you to keep focused by removing temptation. So in the third hack, and the one thing that's made a huge difference in my life, is to realize that we don't have to set goals only on tangible things. So I, for example, wanted to have a bigger social circle. I wanted to have people I can share my passions with. I wanted to live a life that is more exciting. See, those are things you can actually set as a goal. If you look at your life and you say, what is missing? What would I want? Then you can really create that by setting those goals and writing them down. Maybe even putting it up on a vision board and seeing, like, every week I'm going to do one little thing that'll help me move forward. So for example, if you're somebody who wants a relationship but you can't even talk to people, then going out and saying, well, each week I'm going to start talking to somebody new on the internet, or I'm going to go to a place where I can actually interact with people because it's part of the social gathering. Like, things like this. Every time you do this, you put yourself in a position where you're getting closer to becoming a person who can do those things. See, those are the goals. So remember, those goals should not be overwhelming. They should be big enough in order to challenge you, but they should be something that you can really live out and where you don't feel like you're gonna be overwhelmed by it. The smaller, the better. If you can make it 2 weeks with that little goal, then you can add to it. You have the time. But trust me, if you start somewhere too high and even the first week you realize I can't make that commitment, then trust me, that goal is too big. The second one is to actually remove temptation. It's not about willpower, it's about helping yourself and not letting your ego get in the way of having a great life just because you have to prove to yourself that you have the willpower, that you can do it by yourself, and that you actually put a lot of obstacles in your life when it's not even necessary. And the third one is, it doesn't have to be tangible. There's so many things we want in our life that are just based on feelings, and we can set those things as goals just as well. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what goals you're working on. If you're interested in me helping you with your life goals, check out the link in the description on 101 Coaching. I wish you a great day, guys, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.